I know they call you by your nickname, Doc Roberts. Are you the doctor of wine in the MLB?
I'm up there. I think so. I'm up there. I do think so because even in my playing days, I was kind of the go-to on where to visit in the Napa Valley. Or people say, "Hey Doc, what's good to drink?" Or "What do I order on the list?" And the wine list always kind of comes in my direction.
You're the clubhouse som.
I am the clubhouse som. I love it.
Welcome to the Wine-Centric Show, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are recording at the beautiful Relaine Chateau property of the Farrington House. And of course, I have a Titan for you today. He joins us from Colorado inside the bowels of the Rockies Stadium there. Yes, he is a Titan of both baseball and wine. He is a 3-time World Series champion and a co-owner of Red Stitch Wine, Mr. Dave Roberts.
Oh, Matt, thank you, man. This is a long time coming. And I'm at the ballpark right now at Coors Field, and we got a game later tonight. Did my prep work, so then now I can take a little reprieve or respite and talk one of our favorite passions, talking wine. So yeah, this has been, people talk about balance in your life, and I've been a baseball player my whole life, and wine has brought so much joy to me, to my family, to friends, and travel and food. So this is a conversation, like I said, Matt, I've been waiting to have with you.
I'm excited. Of course, though, as you know, I'm a huge sports fan, so you got to indulge me for 1 second because you probably changed the course of history, or you were a huge point in changing the course of history of baseball forever. So please, for one moment, indulge me. 2004, bottom of the ninth, ALCS, Red Sox, Yankees. Kevin Millar gets on base, and Terry Francona, for those of you who don't know. And sorry, wine nerds, we're going to talk about baseball for a second, all right? He says, gives you a wink, and Dave, you're running.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Matt, it was one of obviously my defining moments in my career. I stole a lot of bases. Just for context and background for people, I was playing with the Dodgers at the time in 2004. My wife was 9 months pregnant with our second child. I get the call at the trade deadline that I'm traded to the Red Sox to the East Coast. And so it was me, my wife, my 3-year-old son crying, and he's only crying because he sees mom and dad crying, that we got to go to Boston and play for the Red Sox. But it ended up being a great year. We ended up winning the World Series. And at that moment that Matt's talking about, Red Sox, Yankees, crazy rival. And so we're down 3-0 in a 7-game series, a best of 7. And so we're trailing at the time.
Which had never been done before. No team had ever come back from 3-0.
No team in any sport had done that. And so we're down to the last 3 outs, and Billy Miller, one of our players, leads off, or Kevin Millar leads off with a walk. I come in to pinch run for him. And at that point in time, I was relegated to a role player. So that was my one job. And so I stole a big base, and Bill Miller, my teammate, drives me in to tie the game up. David Ortiz hits the walk-off homer. And Red Sox Nation is such a rabid, knowledgeable fan base, and they always look to that one moment as the turning point. So I'm forever revered in Boston and very humbled by it, but really great time in my life and teammates that I love. And, at that point in time, we were drinking a lot of Jack Daniels, I think, during the postseason, and not red wine.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll never pay for a glass of Cabernet in Boston again.
That's right.
But the question, one thing also about that story is Red Sox hadn't won a World Series since 1918. They had the curse of the Bambino, and Mo Rivera, arguably the greatest closer of all time, is on the mound. So the last question I have for that is, the minute you get out of the dugout, or when Tito looks at you and be like, you're in, do you think, oh, I'm stealing second base?
So I was, but I will tell you this is a little bit more background. There was a guy named Bill Buckner for the Red Sox, and
I'm a Mets fan.
Right.
I know Bill Buckner.
That's right. And he was a great baseball player, but he had one play where a ball goes through his legs, in the World Series, and he was essentially ostracized from New England for years. And so it's funny that I was coming out onto the field, and one angel on my right side is saying, "Hey, Dave, you got this. Maury Wills trained you to do the right thing. This is an opportunity to help propel your team." And the other shoulder is saying, "You could be Bill Buckner. So are you sure you want to do this?" And so fortunately, the good angel, the positive angel won out right there. And at the end of the day, Bill Buckner is welcome back in New England, and all's well that ends well.
That story gives me chills. Thank you for sharing that.
Of
And
course.
real quick break here. We're talking about athletes and wine, and I love the idea, this great fusion. And there's somebody else I want to tell you about who's incorporating wellness and wine, and that's Lauren McLaughlin with Conscious Strong. Not only is she incorporating wellness and wine, but she is now incorporating travel. So Lauren McLaughlin is a master Pilates instructor. She created Conscious Strong, which is all about wellness, and recently she's fallen in love with wine, and she wants to explore wine through travel, but incorporate wellness in it. So she's building these retreats to Tuscany, perhaps Greece, maybe Portugal, kind of wherever you want to go. And I love this idea how she has taken her expertise in wellness, incorporated wine into it, and then what we all love to do is travel. So she can do this all for you. She can curate a trip and make it wonderful. Just check consciousstrong.com. That's consciousstrong.com to find out about fusing wine, wellness, and travel. And then after we travel, what we all want to do is we want to come back home to a great house, a great home. And there is a woman that I am a huge fan of locally in the Triangle area of North Carolina, and her name is Heather Donovan. She runs heatherdhomes.com. She is an unbelievable resource for me personally, for my family, for my friends. She does the kind of things like where if you need a plumber, she's got a person for that. You need a landscaper, a painter, whatever, she does that. She follows you through the whole process of buying a home and continuing through maintaining your home. I mean, even if you, let's say, needed a wine cellar or a great bar or wine storage, she has a person for that can custom make it and make it super easy. Please check out heatherdhomes.com. That's Heather Donovan at heatherdhomes.com. Now, let's get back to athletes and wine and LA Dodgers manager and three-time World Series champion, Mr. Dave Roberts. There's so many parallels, I think, between baseball and wine, athletes and wine, and I love the narrative of athletes, former athletes getting into wine. I think about the timing of things and the timing of like when you're stealing a base of when you got to run, when you get your jump, right? And it's
Love that.
just like wine, right? Got to wait for when's the wine ready, or even more importantly, when's the right time to harvest grapes, and that's the most important decision in any winemaker's or wine owner's career, vintage, etc. So let's delve into wine there. You said you were drinking Jack Daniels when you were up in Boston, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Sean Green and you would take some jaunts up to Napa Valley while you were with the Dodgers?
Yeah, you know what? And to just piggyback, and I'll get to that, but you know what? Even on my side of managing baseball right now, it is like wine in the sense of the parallels, in the sense of the grape growing, the wine making, where when to harvest, when, just when to water. Obviously, when you're not in, in the old world. Um, with coaching, it's like with the players, when do I push them? When do I kind of have the hands off approach? And I think that, it's about Mother Nature, and every great winemaker will say that. And I think that every great coach will say the same thing. It's like when they're not talking about you and they're talking about the players, or they're not talking about the winemaker, they're talking about the fruit, then you're doing your job. And
Yeah.
I think for me, it's a lot of times it's really trying to be hands off and let kind of things kind of happen organically. But when you got to intercede, you do that. And kind of going back to Sean Green, we were teammates in LA in 2002. And we took our wives up to Napa for the first time. And I couldn't tell Cabernet from Pinot to Sauv Blanc to a Rosé from anyone, right? And so going up there, and what was great is the people that we met up there were just so genuinely nice and considerate and thoughtful. And one of the things that we heard a lot was it doesn't matter what we like, it matters what you like. And there's no dumb question. And I think that people that are trying to get into wine, it's intimidating. You know, when you go to a restaurant and you see a sommelier or a wine director and you're looking at this 20-page wine list and where to go. And so I think that really diffused it for me, and just kind of learning the people. What made it a lot better, and it's funny, is right after that trip, and I'll let you chime in, Matt, is Trisha, my wife, coined the term Napa Dave. And it was so funny, and it's so true, because when I'm in Napa or in wine country, I just am present
Yeah.
with the company. I don't care about my phone. I'm not thinking about work. I'm talking about aromas, notes, and the food, the company, all that stuff. And for a wife, I'm sure that's pretty refreshing.
Totally. And she's a sommelier now. She's taken that to the next level, right?
Yeah, so she's a level one, and she was well on her way, but this dumb thing called cancer got in the way of her plan. So I ended up having cancer in 2010, and she put that to the side and took care of me, and hasn't had a chance to pick it back up. But so we kind of ham and egg it together. So she kind of knows a lot of the technical things of the wine and can pull a lot of notes where I'm not that good at that. But when you're talking about kind of the wines made and kind of the history of wines and winemakers and things like that in regions, I'm pretty good at that.
That makes sense. You're like a encyclopedic knowledge. I'm sure baseball and that wine relates to that same thing. And by the way, I don't have to say a damn word. You could speak for the whole time because I'm sure what you have to say, you could take us through great stories from wine to baseball and football, by the way, which is a whole other story.
I do like my football as well.
Yeah, high school quarterback, right?
I was a high school quarterback, and then I was all set to play football at the Air Force Academy,
Yeah.
and had my appointment there. And my dad was in the Marine Corps for 30 years, and it was one of those things that you're doing it because you think it's the right thing, and your dad wants you to do it. But after giving my senior speech, had my appointment, I was like, I do not want to go and serve for 5 years in the Air Force. I want a regular college experience. I've already had one ACL reconstruction my sophomore year in high school, and it's like, I kind of want to play baseball. And so my old coach and I basically knocked on doors, and Coach Adams at UCLA said, okay, you got into school. You can be a recruited walk-in. We have no money for you. And if you want to bet on yourself, go for it. And that's what I did.
The weird thing about that is that I've found interesting, and sorry, wine nerds again, but I just can't help myself. Um, your knock in baseball was your arm. You have
Yep.
a great arm, but
Bad
but
arm,
but you
bad
were a
arm.
quarterback.
I was a quarterback, but I was a running quarterback.
Okay,
And
because
actually, once I could throw decently in high school, but then I got to college and I had shoulder surgery, and it kind of went downhill from there. So you get an average arm to below average to then a really well below average arm. So yeah, that was definitely a real knock. Yeah,
the freaking surgeries, man.
that's right.
Okay, so you're up there in Napa, and I guess Sean Green is kind of your guide, or like, what are your first wine moments where they're like, you have that aha bottle, you have like, oh, okay, this is gonna make me think twice.
Yeah. So it was. So if we're in 2000, so Jim Dolan, who used to have a tour company, is a friend of mine, and kind of showed us around to a lot of boutique places. But I think my first aha one was I want to say it was like a Jordan, call it 2000, maybe it's easy. An answer was a 97, but I know it wasn't a 97. When you're starting to drink wine, and I love Jordan, but it's like it's round, it's approachable. And so I was like, man, and then you get a nice steak when I'm in my early 30s where I can eat red meat and feel good about it. And so I was like, oh my God, I get it. I get this thing, this pairing thing. But you know what? We went to Alora. We went to a couple different boutique wineries. We went to Paloma.
Hmm.
That was a great little place that we went to. That wasn't in Napa. We went to a bunch of different places that we just got to meet the proprietors, the winemakers. We went to Barnett.
Okay.
Uh, we went to Fraser. That was a winery back then. And so we just went to a lot of different places that just got us to fall in love with the people in the valley.
It's so funny because I think, and knowing a little bit about your story, is that's where so many of us start our wine journey, right? Is those Napa cabs, and then you're in Napa and you get the whole experience, and the wine tastes so good, and you're in the right place, and it's just like, yes, I'm in it. Um, but your career and your journey took you a little further because you then played for the Giants, played for the San Francisco Giants,
Yep.
and I'm sure that's like hard to believe looking back, and somehow cut to the end of it. I don't know how a Dodger makes wine with a San Francisco Giant, but you'll get there. But correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Barry Bonds have something to do with you actually getting started in making a winery project?
Absolutely. So Rich Aurelia, it was so basically Rich Aurelia, John Mysick, and myself. So Rich and I were competitors, competing each other. Then we became teammates, and it didn't take us long to kind of build a friendship. Albeit we were very bitter rivals with the Giants and the Dodgers. And John, we met through a good friend of ours, Eric Bradley, who I'll just a little teaser that with Eric Bradley, introduced us to Eric Bradley, who's a winemaker, and he introduced the three of us and our wives. And so I'm playing for the Giants, and then a friend of ours, it might have been Chili Davis, who's a big wine guy, a former ball player, gave Barry a six pack of reserve Cabernet, and it said Herrera on it. So then Barry's not a big wine drinker. So Barry gives me a bottle of it. So me being a young wine drinker, but love my cab, I would say probably a week later, I pop it open. So my wife and I are drinking it. And then, so this is after a game when I'm playing with the Giants, and I drink this wine and it blows me away. So then what do? I look at the back label. I see this 707 number, and I call it and I go, "Hey, my name is Dave Roberts. I got this wine. I'm a baseball player, and I just want to know more about it. How can I get some of this wine?" So then the next morning, Rolando Herrera, that's his reserve.
He put his phone number, his own personal phone number
No,
on the
no, that
bottle.
was the winery. That
Okay,
was the
okay,
winery. So
okay.
I call Mi Sueño Winery because that's
Yeah.
the regular wine, right? So I call Mi Sueño, and I go, I don't know what this Herrera thing is, but I love this Herrera. And then Rolando gets the voicemail. He's like, "Oh my God, Dave Roberts for the Giants called." So he's excited, and so we connected there. And then at that time, us three came together and go, "Hey, we're going to make wine." And towards the end of my retirement. And so Rolando, we became friends with at that time. He was like, "I would be honored to make your wine." So up until this year, literally, or just 6 months ago, Rolando was our winemaker for Red Stitch.
Yeah.
The Cabernet, the two Pinots, the Chardonnay, the Burgundies are from Santa Lucia Highlands, up in Monterey up there. But then we now have turned to Eric Bradley, who made all of our 24s, who's always been a friend of ours. But then he had this big Sojourn project and some other projects, and they just sold Sojourn just recently. So Eric, it's full circle with us and Eric, and Rolando and I and us are all still good friends, and he's crazy busy. So it's been great. We're going more on like the less oaky kind of thing, but it's going to be great. And the 24s all scored well. So again, Maddie, it's all about friends in the wine industry.
Yeah, and by the way, if you don't know out there and you're listening, oh, what's Red Stitch Winery? Your scores are always perennially in the
Always.
90s,
Always
and,
have been.
and very highly regarded. Let's talk about that because I thought that your winemaker had just switched for the Pinots and Chards because that you were making different Pinots and Chards. By the way, Dave, I don't know if you know, but yesterday was International Pinot Noir Day.
So I didn't know that. I was here in Denver, and we had our hands full with the Rockies. So I missed that. I needed something a little bit more stiff than a 13.5% Pinot Noir. I'm sorry.
Well, those Santa Lucia Pinot Noirs can get up to 16% sometimes.
But the thing is, though, is that is funny, though, is that because we've been talking a little bit about Cabernet, but I'm 53 right now, and I got into the Syrah phase, and I love the Southern Rhone, and I still love Bordeaux, and obviously at 13.7, 13.8. But you know, they said it. Some people told me early on, years ago in 2002, 2000, yeah, one or two, that all roads lead to Burgundy, and I didn't get it. But it's taken me like 20 something years to really appreciate the simplicity of Burgundy. But yeah, I love a Pinot. I missed my opportunity last night.
That's all right. There's always another day. You know,
There you go.
there's always a good day a good excuse to drink Pinot Noir. What? So how involved are you in Red Stitch? And I know you were talking with Rolando. How much involved are you in the day to day decisions, the marketing of the wine, everything?
This is all Richie and Jody, our general manager. So Richie is the boots on the ground. They're both boots on the ground. And John does a lot as well. I'm more of the marketing now. Early on, boots on the ground, uh, harvest, blends. Because the
You work
Cabernet.
harvest?
Oh, absolutely. So harvest and then blends, because the Cabernet is we our first meeting with the Mysics was a Malbec tasting, so we always have Malbec to tie into our Cabernet with our Petit Verdot and Cabernet.
But Dave, if you're working harvest, that means you did not have a good season.
That's right. Very well said. That's right. That's exactly right. So recently managing the Dodgers, I haven't seen a harvest, so that's a good thing.
That's
Um,
sort of the agreement that if you're in the playoffs and in the hunt, that you're going to
Yeah,
be doing your day job.
and our guys get it, Matt.
Yeah,
And it's the thing is, so it's a friendship that started, um, and the wine has obviously kept us together, kept us involved. But I give Richie a lot of props. He is like, it's his baby. But I'm involved, and we've got a VIP wine club dinner coming up in Healdsburg soon. So you got to be a Red Stitch member to be invited to be a part of that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes, a lot of stories, and a lot of great wine that's shared in past vintages that we're re-releasing or just sharing with people. So there's a lot of things, but Richie does a good job. You even have a Red Stitch cruise that they do, and he's done that with Dan Costa a few years. But we do a lot of charity work, a lot of dinners, and for me, I love to take part in things like that.
yeah. As far as, do you still go up for blending trials?
So it's been tough for me because uh, my schedule gets so like there's going to be one soon, and I'm in the middle of my season, and so if it doesn't work out when we're in the Bay playing the Giants, it just doesn't make sense, or I just can't do it.
Okay.
So John will make his way up there. His wife Noelle will make his way up there. Richie will make his way up there. So yeah, it works.
Well, I'm going to have a free plug right now for it's called Master the World, Master of Wine, and they send you these little samples. They're not a sponsor of the show, but they send you these little samples, okay, of wine, and that you could do your own blending trials there. I mean, come on, Dave. You need
See,
to
I
have
love
you need
that.
to have
Yeah,
your
so
signature
I
on
got
this.
to get on Richie on that one then, so they can send me some juice, and I love it. And I will say, I do think that is one of my superpowers, because when we're doing blends, and it's like chem class. You got the beakers and things like that, and we always make a joke. Richie and his wife Amy, and John and Noelle, Mysick, and Trisha and myself, and Jody pops in once in a while, and obviously you get the winemaker, and you start trying to rate the wines and which one's the best, and which ones you prefer. And you're putting your notes down, and I was always aligned with Rolando, so my palate is pretty dang good. I'm good. I got a bad nose, but I can taste stuff, and I'm a big kind of mid palate finish guy. I like the substance. I don't like thin wine, and I will say this is that all of our wines, it's like it's like some of the things I talk to people about. It's like you can talk the wine lingo, but it's like you meet you meet a stranger, right?
Hmm.
Is that stranger approachable? Do they have substance? Is there some content to what they're talking about? And then when you walk away, is there something memorable? And it's like sort of about wine, the aromas, the taste, the first note when it hits your palate, to the mid palate. Does it fall off? Does it sit there a little bit? And then is the finish nice and slow and lingering and long finish? And that's kind of how I look at wine and how I kind of value wine. And, whether it's our Burgundian in style Chardonnay or our big Cabernet, which I still think is fantastic, getting a little bit less oak on it. I still think those descriptors still apply.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then take us through. Actually, I want to do something fun. You led me right into a fun comparison to talk about wine and kind of like a person. Okay. Um, I do this thing where I want you to compare a one of your players or a player. I'll give you the players and compare them to a wine. I'll give you an example. Freddie Freeman. Okay. I look at Freddie Freeman, and for me, he's like Chateauneuf du Pape. You said you were to the Southern Rhone, right? Because he's got the silkiness, he's rich and velvety, but he's also got some graphite and some stones to him. Like he's got some bravado and stuff, and he can be big in alcohol if needed because he's slick fielding and he's got some power. Are you ready for the?
I love that. Okay, so go. Okay, I love that.
Yeah,
Well,
yes.
okay.
So you can go. You can give me a region, a varietal, or specific wine, however you want to do it. Okay.
Okay.
And I told you I'm a Mets fan, so take it easy. Pete Alonso.
Pete Alonso is that's an easy one, obviously. That is in your face Napa Cabernet. It's in your face. It's hillside fruit. It's 15.5. It's just like you got to give it time, but man, it's 100% Napa Cabernet.
I love that you said hillside fruit. Do you have a specific winery that you're thinking
it's hard
of?
to beat Schaefer. I mean, come on.
Schaefer. All right. I'm sure Pete would.
With those guys, so I love those guys. Yeah.
I'm sure Pete would say thank you to that. All right. All right. That was, as we say in the biz, I grooved that one for you right down the middle.
That was a 2-0 heater.
Paul Skeens.
Oh, interesting. That's a good one. Okay, so you've got a young player. This guy is young. He's uber talented, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in baseball. He's got this celebrity girlfriend, college girlfriend. I'm kind of talking things aloud.
Yeah,
here.
go. No, it all makes sense.
This is good. This is a good one. So it's not a sleeper because Paul Skeens in our world is not a sleeper. It's a high octane fastball, so it's not obviously
not subtle.
It's not
Pinot. It's not Nebbiolo.
No, it's not Nebbiolo. It's not Merlot. It's not anything white for sure. Okay, so then we're going red, and then so when you're going red, I'm trying to decide between left bank, but left bank is older, right? It's 1855. It's just you got more age on it, so I don't think that's worthy of it yet. So I'm going to go with something. I'm going to go Syrah.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Syrah because I think it's still, because I just not Merlot. So I'm going to go Syrah. I'm going to go Northern Rhone Syrah Côte d'Or.
Côte Rôtie. Okay. So Côte Rôtie, the hallowed ground for Syrah, big Syrah, peppercorn, smoked meats, tannic as hell, but definitely can deliver a fastball for sure. All right.
Yeah, you know what? Let me put a pin in that because I just for some reason I skipped over Italy, but I'm just trying to think if Italy is applicable here. The only thing it could be is a Brunello. I'm going to stick with my Syrah.
Okay. I thought you were going to go Old Vine Zinfandel with some of your description.
See, that was fair, but then the young, this guy's been in the big leagues for 2 years.
Yeah.
So the little bit of that checked me up a little bit.
Okay. Last one. This is an obvious one, but it's definitely not a groove pitch. Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani. So he's a two-way player. So then it's certainly a blend. So then you're talking about greatest of all time. Obviously, when you're talking about blend, the easy one to go is the Southern Rhone. I'm going to go right bank. I'm going to go to Pomerol. I'm going to go right bank Merlot heavy.
Okay.
Because he hits a lot of homers, and I could have went left bank, but I'm going to go right bank.
So are we thinking like you said amongst the greatest of all time. So like, are we putting him in Petrus
I think
level?
he's I think he's right. I think he's Petrus. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I got. Or
Okay.
Lepin, something like that.
Okay. Chateau Le Pen. Great.
There you
I love
go.
it. You know what? I do need to, because you're so good at this, I do need to do one more. And because we already did Shohei, and who knows, you might meet them in the World Series again, but give me Aaron Judge.
Oh, Judgy. Oh man, I think Judgy is left bank. Judgy is first growth. He is first growth. Left bank. He is Chateau Margaux
Okay.
because there's a finesse to it. It's not Lafitte. There's a finesse to it.
Yeah. He's
But he
not
is
Poyak.
Cabernet all day long with the nice little blend of some Merlot.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for indulging me. And so yeah, one of
You're
the first
welcome.
five gross of Bordeaux, Chateau Margaux. Not the power, even though he is powerful, that Pauillac has, because Pauillac can almost be rusty in its youth, but Margaux is the silky version of that power, curves
That's
out the
right.
edges. So that there you go. Okay, um, this is great, and this leads me to the other thing. In the NBA, and I've had Channing Frye on the show. He's got Chosen Family Wines up there in Oregon, and he's making some great Pinot up there.
Yep.
And he alluded to the fact that a lot of these NBA players are getting a wine. Klay Thompson makes one with Nolan Arenado, and
Dwayne Wade.
what's that? Dwayne Wade
Dwayne
with
Wade. Yep.
Wade Sellers makes some really good wine. And what he was saying is that Greg Popovich, Coach Pop, was kind of like the Pied Piper that kind of introduced this wine drinking culture into the NBA. Are you like I know they call you by your nickname Doc Roberts? Are you the doctor of wine in the MLB?
I'm up there. I think so. I'm up there. I do think so because even in my playing days, I was kind of the go-to on where to visit in the Napa Valley, or what's what people say, hey Doc, what's good to drink, or what do I order on the list? And the wine list always kind of comes in my direction. But Greg Popovich is the goat. It's very storied how he would take his coaches out for these crazy expensive Michelin rated restaurants and dinners and great cellar. And yeah, so I think in the baseball world, people definitely know me as one of the wine guys.
You're the clubhouse som. So
I am the clubhouse som. I
like
love it.
that could be your new Instagram
That's
handle.
right. I like
Yeah.
it.
Um, is there people like who has the best palate on the Dodgers? Who besides you? Who is there anybody
Um,
that's like into wine that seeks your
so
advice?
Freddie's a huge wine guy.
Okay.
So Freddie is more Italian, but he'll drink some Bordeaux, and sometimes like I give him a hard time because some of these guys are so. I wasn't a good enough baseball player where I made enough money early on in my career where I could just start drinking first growths. And some of these guys can't appreciate what a first growth is, and so he'll open up, a first growth that has, call it 4 years of age on it, where I'm like, what are you doing? you know. But I think Freddie's got a really nice palate. He's into Italy these days. Who else has a nice palate? Josh Bard, our bullpen coach, has a really good palate. As far as players, Kirsch has gotten into wine. Clayton Kershaw, I can't speak to his palate, but he likes wine. Miguel Rojas loves wine.
Okay.
Mickey's not really a wine guy, but other teams that we had last year, Jason Hayward, huge wine guy.
The thing about baseball, also before even Popovich, is Tom Seaver, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, he was not just a winemaker; he was a farmer and really laid the groundwork, I think, for making wine approachable for athletes, but also showing that athletes could have this post baseball playing or post athletic career in truly making good wine. So, give it
Yeah,
to Tom.
and I've had that GTS, and rest in peace. And but Tom Seaver, obviously, he was boots on the ground, living up there, and he was a farmer. He became a farmer. And Joe Blanton, Blanton Wines. Joe's up there, on the hillside. I don't know if it's Diamond Mountain Fruit, something like that. But they're up there, and he's getting his hands dirty as well.
That's cool. I love it. Let's get back to Red Stitch for a few minutes. So you started out making these big cabs, Napa cabs, and now things have changed, right? And now you're pulling back on the alcohol, being more of a sense of place. Talk to me two things. What what made that change to go back to less alcohol, and where's the fruit coming from, and is it consistent? And then lastly, when did you guys start making Pinot and Chard from the Central Coast?
So I think it's just kind of where the world is at right now. Probably 20 years ago, the big wines in your face, I think they obviously scored well. But, Napa early on in the 70s, I mean, there was low alcohol wines. And I think that they're just starting to, people that can afford wines, they're starting to kind of, like myself, it's you just can't have those in your face Cabernets as much anymore, and people aren't drink or eating as much, red meat. And so I think that to kind of get wines that still have the tannins acidity, but just not the high octane alcohol, I think that's kind of what, and a little bit less oak on it. I think that we're getting to that, and I feel really good about what Eric's done with our Cabernet. And I think as far as the Burgundies, and that's coming from Coombsville, and we
Okay.
started getting fruit from there, and it's been very consistent with our Cabernet fruit and the Malbec. And so
Yeah.
our scores have been very consistent, the profile very consistent. And then there came a point where it's like, we want to get to make some Burgundies, and so we all love Pinot. It's like when you drink wine a lot, Pinot's not going to beat your palate up. So we're like, okay, so let's get up there and find some fruit, find some friends, and we did that. And so the
Wasn't it
Rosella,
that wasn't it Gary Pisoni who came to
yeah,
you and said, I'll
Francione. So Gary Francione. So
Francione. Okay.
Gary and Rosella are good friends of ours, and then Gary's like, "Hey, I got some fruit, at Sobranis. It was a newer vineyard, and we've had it grow for 4 or 5 years. What do you think? And try it." And they had made some Sobranis before, and it was fantastic. And then so he was like, "We'll sell you some fruit, so you guys have your vines and your rows." And then we acquired some Rosella. So that's more the bigger in your face Pinot Noir. And Rosella is a tough lady, and so it kind of mirrors her. And then the Sobranis is more cherry cola, everyday drinking. And then we have the Chardonnay as well, which has been fantastic for us. So we've done a really good job with our Burgundies and then the Cabernet.
Just so you know, when Dave says Burgundy, for those of you listening, well, what do you mean? He's making wine in France? No. When we say the Burgundian varietals, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, uh, it's a testament because you've been able to play the long game in this and grow as a winery. I know you purposely went small and didn't you. I'm sure you could probably. Are people are offering you, oh, Dave, slap your name on my bottle, or buy this fruit and we'll make it in bulk and we'll get a bunch of bulk juice and just make wine.
Yep.
But you're discerningly making really good wine, finding right people, and growing small because and you've done it for a long time. Your first vintage was '08, '09,
2007. 2007 was
2007.
our first
Yeah,
cap.
and
And
what a
our
time
first
to
Pinot
start.
Noir was what a great year in Napa, 2007. So it was a perfect vintage in the Napa Valley. And then 2011 was our first delve at Pinot Noir. And I still got a couple bottles of our 11 Sobranis. And I think, Matt, it's one of those things where I'm also proud of the fact that we love our wine. And like we have people coming to us about selling fruit, and we vetted a lot of different parts of the Napa Valley or in, Sonoma or Santa Lucia Highlands and different parts. We went to Oregon and just trying to figure out what's best for us, Santa Barbara, and all of our palates kind of liked the profile. And so that's something that we feel good about.
Dave, the again, back to the parallels of baseball and wine. And I think they face some of the same challenges today, right? In baseball, you had to speed up the game. We had to put, baseball used to be timeless, and now you had to put in clock management and stuff like that in. And also, a lot of the boomers consumed baseball. People, of generations back, were watching baseball, and then as the young people, they weren't consuming, watching, paying attention to baseball. Same, it runs parallel with wine. What are you seeing on those things, and what are some of the things you're doing at Red Stitch and with the Dodgers to hopefully get that young generation, the generation, what is it, even past millennials, back into wine, back into baseball?
I think that's a great point, because I think that we can all be passionate about wine, and we like sharing it, we like telling the story. But when you're in the industry, you still got to sell it, right? And I think that still making the wine accessible to people, younger adults, and being able to tell a story and try to make it relatable. That's what we do a lot at dinners. And I was talking about Richie and John and their wives do a great job of social media, getting out there. And I think that, and also you can look at the Cabernet. The profile is a lot of people, like I said, again, the diets have changed. People are way more conscious of their health and what they eat. So then the wine, which goes well with food, has got to kind of make sense. And so I think across industries, as far as wine and varietals, I think people are doing that. And like you said, with baseball, we've had to change some things to make people that are younger fan base interested and stay interested, because, my parents could watch a game for, 3 hours, but, kids nowadays with the phones and things like that, 220 is a lot, right? So it's like, how do you still sell tickets and get people to watch a great game in baseball or drink, great wine? So I think that's something that we're all kind of doing in our world.
Yeah. Okay. Dave, I know you got to go. I know you got to play the Rockies. So I'm going to go a couple of quick fire questions and then we'll get you out of here. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Best city to visit, best dining experience when you're on the road with the Dodgers?
Chicago. Don't hate me for not saying New York, because we play night games there. So Chicago, we get the day games at Wrigley. So I can do a dinner. So
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah. I had a feeling. I heard you say on the Dan Patrick show that if you get kicked out of a game, sometime you might have gone back to the office and popped some pops.
Absolutely. Every time. I mean, I've been thrown out probably 20 something times in my career. And Alex Torres, our clubhouse manager, has a glass of red wine for me every time I get in there.
Oh, so he does have red. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Is it a red stitch like Pinot Cab?
You know what? No, it's not Red Stitch. It's whatever's around, whatever's open. He's got that Corvin thing.
They'll travel on the road. Like do you?
Oh my goodness! There's wine. There's wine probably 20 yards from me right now.
Oh, like what's that? Like, give me an example. What bottle's close by?
You know what? So I have them pack it up for me. So it's like kind of like in the summertime. There's some Chardonnay, some White Berg, some Pinot Noir. But then in the April, and then when we get to the postseason, then I go Old World. Then I get a little bit bigger. But yeah, there's always juice around.
I like it. Okay, 2 more questions, and then I'll get you out of here. Your son Cole is in the Diamondbacks organization.
He was then traded, or then he signed with the Phillies. Thank you for asking about Cole. He is no longer with an organization, so we ended up spending some time together. But he is a great guy, great ball player. Graduated from Loyola Marymount. Not the wine guy as my daughter Emmy is.
Oh, she's got the palate in the
family.
family.
Hope. We have hope. She has a palate.
Hey, and they say men develop later anyway, right? Like,
oh boy, do we ever!
Again, I know you hate this question, but I'm going to be taking a page out of Dan Patrick. Where do you think you'll be at that September point? And if you get to the place you want to go, do you get to choose the champagne in the clubhouse?
With that, I will choose the champagne this year. I didn't in previous years. I will, just for that point. We will be in, I think we end up in Seattle. So I love the city of Seattle. I hope those 3 games against the Mariners don't have playoff implications. We're getting healthy now. So I hope when this airs, we'll be in first place, getting ready for a bye in the first round of the playoffs.
See you there. I'm going to put my Mets hat on, and hopefully we get to see you again. I'll still be rooting for you. And maybe at one point we can toast or cheers a great glass of wine together, and hopes for just a great baseball season in general.
I'd love that, Matt. Man, it's been a great conversation. Loved hanging with you, man, and great work, and keep drinking great wine, man.
Dave, loved your story, and good luck to you. Good luck to the Dodgers, and good luck to Red Stitch Winery. I'll tell you all out there, go out, get your hands on some Red Stitch wines, and you will drink deliciously.
You will get on our list, enjoy our wine, look at our story. We got great people, and redstitchwine.com, and you won't regret it. So thank you guys very much for listening. And man, wine makes people a lot, makes this world a better place.